Three Kingdoms. Misidentification of Lu Bu as father. In law at the beginning. Introduction. Lin Mo, who traveled to the end of the Han Dynasty, had to choose to become a saint in front of his father. In law in order to be elected as a filial and honest official. Do you think Cao Cao will flood Xuzhou? Chen Deng secretly colluded with Cao Cao. There is evidence for a virtuous son. In law. How did the virtuous son. In law know that Yuan Shu would declare himself emperor? Until Yuan Shu was annihilated and Cao Cao was driven away, Lin Mo was surprised and said, "Why has Lu Bu become so powerful? Is there a master behind him?" Lu Bu waved his hand and stopped pretending. I showcased my skills and said, "Yes, my virtuous son. In law is the expert behind Lu Bu." Chapter 1. Misidentification of Lu Bu as his father. In law. You are listening at Novel Full. Audio. In the first year of Jianan, which is 196 AD. Pengcheng, Xuzhou. The Zhang family in Yuan County seems to have never heard of any significant figures, but Cheap Dad said that the Zhang family is also a well-known family in Yuan County. In the second courtyard, 17-year-old Lin Mo lay on the self-made lazy chair in the courtyard, closing his eyes and calculating. It has been a month since he traveled to this world, and his standard parents have both died. Apart from this courtyard, there are no resources left for him at home. By the way, there is a marriage. 7 years ago, Lin Mo's father, by chance, saved Sheng, the county magistrate of Yuan County, from the hands of bandits. As a gesture of gratitude, he arranged for a child marriage. Once this marriage is completely settled, I should be able to enjoy the benefits of the traveler prophet. As a traveler, he has tried to use his talents to break free from his lowly status. For example, before the change of ownership in Xuzhou, he went to the prefect's mansion to wait for Lu Bu to leave. He pretended to be an expert and revealed that Lu Bu was planning to launch a surprise attack on Pengcheng, but was almost killed by Zhang Fei as an assassin. For example, he once went to find Chen Deng, a wealthy and aristocratic family in Xuzhou, to offer his refined salt purification technology, but the gatekeeper wanted to arrest him and make him a serf. Sure enough, novels are full of lies, and in this era, no one will believe what an unidentified person says. So he can only wait for the marriage to be finalized, and leverage the foundation of the Zhang family to unleash his prophetic skills. He didn't just wait aimlessly. A month ago, he received a letter from the Zhang family, stating that Zhang Sheng was planning to visit friends in Xuzhou and would also visit Lin Mo. Visiting is fake, probably to explore my character. If a mediocre person can't support the wall with mud, Zhang Sheng will probably find an excuse to withdraw from this marriage. When a person appears in front of him, prophesies a few things, and invents a few more, Zhang Sheng will point at Lin Mo with a shocked expression and shout, "Oh my, Yunwen has a talent for governing heaven and earth." Well, the plot should be like this. Lin Mo, lying under the osmanthus tree, smiled at the corners of his mouth. With the help of the Zhang family, he went to seek advice from the feudal lords along the way and stabilized himself. From the geographical location of Yuan County, it is most appropriate to seek advice from Cao Cao. Yes, it's just Cao Cao. On the streets of Pengcheng, a man over 9 feet long is wearing a silver-white brocade suit. He has a tiger back and a bare waist, a face like a crown of jade, and a pair of eyes like eagle eyes, giving people a sense of fear. This person is one of the most famous people in the world, Lu Bu, who was the master of Xuzhou during this period. Behind him, followed by a similarly burly and cold-faced man, the hero of Yanmen, the future nightmare of Jiangdong. Zhang Liao, who claimed to be Zhang 800, pointed to the second courtyard in front of him and said. Wen Ho, after several rounds of tracking, the young lady disappeared from this alley every time. It should be this household. So, Lingqi didn't lie. Is there really such a wild kid? Not long ago, Yuan Shu sent envoys to Xuzhou with dowry to propose marriage to his son, and the two families formed an alliance. Having a fourth generation and third prince's family-in-law is highly attractive to Lu Bu, a mud-legged child with no background. However, LV Lingqi said that she was in love with a young man from Xuzhou, and that she had already made a lifelong commitment due to an uncontrollable conflict. In the era of matchmaking by her parents, LV Bu could not accept it. So someone was sent to track and prepare to find the boy behind him, which led to this trip. If Marquis Yuan finds it troublesome, he will ask the last general to find this young man and give him some money to send him away from Xuzhou, which will also cut off the Mrs. thoughts. Lu Bu shook his head and said in a deep voice, Lingqi has been stubborn since childhood. It would be best if this kid had cut off his relationship with her in person before she could obediently marry into Huainan. After speaking, Lu Bu waved his hand, and Zhang Liao bowed and turned away. Bang bang, here we go. After a knock on the door, Lin Mo, who was resting on the lazy chair, jumped up and ran quickly to open the door. In the moment when Lin Mo's eyes were facing each other, an inexplicable sense of oppression rose in his heart. He quickly arched his hand and smiled, saying, My son.in.law Lin Mo, with the courtesy name Yunwen, is waiting for your father.in.law. Waiting. So, do you know I'm coming? Lu Bu's cold eyes flashed a hint of surprise. Lin Mo smiled and made a sign to invite in. After calculating the days, it should be around these 2 days. You're so brave that you didn't run when you knew I was coming. After following Lin Mo into the inner courtyard, he scrutinized the surroundings carefully. There were no servants, no plaques hanging at the door, no aristocratic family, nor powerful individuals. No wonder his subordinates had not been able to gather any information. That's good, a lowly person, easy to deal with. Lu Bu, who was sitting in the hall, looked at Lin Mo, who was boiling water and brewing tea. He could still be so calm and composed in front of me, and his temperament was much stronger than that of an ordinary aristocratic young master. The skin bag is also good. It's hard not to be deceived at Lingqi's age. Please have some tea, father.in.law. After respectfully offering the tea, Lin Mo couldn't wait to start appearing in front of others, saying, I don't know if the father.in.law's visit to his friend's itinerary has ended. If it has, it's better to leave Xuzhou as soon as possible. There will be war here soon, and our son.in.law cannot be affected by the disaster of the pond fish. Lu Bu, who had just taken a sip of tea, immediately changed his face and said, It's absurd. Xuzhou is as strong as gold soup. Who dares to invade? The father.in.law has been living in Yuan County for a long time and may not be very familiar with the situation in Xuzhou. Lin Mo smiled with a deep smile and straightened his waist, saying, Xuzhou is an important town in the Central Plains. To the west is Cao Cao, and to the south is Yuan Shu. The two of them have long coveted Xuzhou. LV Bu is brave and schemless, and he can never resist the attacks of these two forces. Who are you saying has courage but no strategy? Lu Bu's pupils suddenly gathered and were about to erupt. Yu reading www.yuukangshu.net. That's not right, he said. I've been living in Yuan County for a long time and don't know much about Xuzhou. He even dared to say in front of me that I'm brave but not strategic. Understood. Lu Bu's expression was as it was. It must be that Lingqi did not reveal her true identity to him. Undoubtedly, she is my daughter. She is very intelligent, and it is not an exaggeration to say she is from Yuan County. Anyway, my fiefdom is not exactly Yuan County, and I have also eliminated the possibility of the other party's desire to climb the dragon and follow the phoenix. How can you understand the inner world at such a young age? Lu Bu restrained his anger, glanced at Lin Mo, and took out an elder posture to teach him a lesson. Why don't you hear that Lu Bu is among the people, and the red rabbit is among the horses? The reputation of Marquis Yuan has spread far and wide, and the two of them dare not violate the realm. Not long ago, Yuan Shu was about to attack Liu Bei. In a state of great urgency, Marquis Yuan shot a halberd at the Yuan gate, not only rendering a battle invisible, but also earning Liu Bei the peace of mind to defend the Xuzhou gate for him and block Cao Cao's eastward advance. Such a clever plan cannot be considered brave and strategic. Seeing Zhang Xing's proud expression, Lin Mo couldn't help but doubt why his father-in-law would lean towards Lu Bu like this. By the way, he said he was going to visit friends in Xuzhou. Could it be that he was visiting Lu Bu? Whether it's true or not, it's true that he leans towards Lu Bu. He still needs to weigh his words and not go too far. Lin Mogan coughed and smiled faintly, saying, "Your father-in-law's words are true. Shooting a halberd at the Yuan gate is a timeless tale. It's easy to scare Ji Ling and others. But if Cao Cao takes action, how is he doing?" Lu Bu leaned forward slightly and stared at Lin Mo. Cao Cao is cunning and wise, and his advisors are like clouds, far beyond the comparison of those like Yuan Shu. Lin Mo didn't rush or delay, in order to make his words more convincing. Your father-in-law thinks that Liu Bei is guarding the gateway of Xuzhou for Lu Bu, but in my opinion, Cao Cao can completely use Liu Bei to destroy Lu Bu. Chapter 2. Sacrifice in front of people. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Jokes. Lu Bu leaned back against his chair and burst out laughing loudly. Use Liu Bei to attack me. To Lu Bu, it sounded like someone had told him to use Fang Tianhua's halberd to stab him. Do you know that if it weren't for me? If it weren't for Marquis when shooting a halberd at the Yuan gate, Liu Bei would have been a dead bone in the tomb long ago. How dare you have any ulterior motives? The proudest thing for Lu Bu in his life was the Yuan gate shooting halberd, which earned Yuan Shu 200,000 stones of grain and grass, and even sold it to Liu Bei for a life-saving gesture. Liu Bei would only wholeheartedly help him guard the door. How could he possibly attack him? Your father-in-law, may I ask who was the lord of Xuzhou before Lu Bu arrived? Ah, this it seems to be Liu Bei. He knew that Lin Mo was reminding himself not to forget that Xuzhou was ultimately snatched from Liu Bei's hands. Even if he was skilled at shooting spears from the Yuan gate, it was impossible for Liu Bei to remember his kindness. Lu Bu was momentarily speechless and could only awkwardly sip his tea before reluctantly saying, even so, Liu Bei is unlikely to defect to Cao Cao. No one knows that Cao Cao attacked Xuzhou a few years ago and even slaughtered the 3 counties of Dongguan, Langya, and Donghai. The people of Xuzhou hated him to the bone. Liu Bei claimed to love the people, so how could he defect to Cao Cao? From this perspective, the possibility of Liu Bei defecting to Cao Cao is indeed not high. In fact, even without this reason, Liu Bei himself had ambitions, and if it weren't for the end of his life, he was unlikely to seek refuge with anyone. Lin Mo picked up the boiling pot next to him and added water to Lu Bu, saying leisurely. My father-in-law, what I just said was that Cao Cao could use Liu Bei, but I didn't say that Liu Bei would defect to Cao Cao. What's the difference? Lu Bu questioned. After pondering for a while, Lin Mo felt that his father-in-law was not a very clever Yazzie, so he turned around and walked to the nearby desk. He picked up a dry brush and dipped it in some ink, writing vigorously. Not long after, he handed a bamboo slip with written content to Lu Bu and said, Your father-in-law, what would happen if Lu Bu found this letter from a suspicious-looking vendor? A few strokes, the content is very simple. Lu Bu seized our city and bullied others too much. He is willing to surrender to Cao Gong and ask him to quickly send troops. Let's attack Xuzhou together. Despite witnessing the letter written by Lin Mo with his own eyes, Lu Bu's heart still couldn't stop trembling and his eyes sank slightly. He didn't explain, but he knew in his heart that if this letter was really found from a suspicious-looking vendor, as Lin Mo had said, then Liu Bei's death would have come. I will lead a large army to launch a strong attack on Xiaopei. Once I lose Liu Bei's guard, Cao Cao's army will surely be able to advance in a long distance. This separation plan is really clever. Marquis Yuan may not be able to discern, but don't forget that Chen Deng and Chen Deng beside him are both resourceful and may not be able to deceive them. Lu Bu tugged at the corner of his mouth, unwilling to admit defeat. Your father-in-law looks up to them. Lin Mo could see that although Zhang Xing refused to admit defeat, he actually agreed in his heart. It seemed that his goal of becoming a saint in front of others had also been achieved, so he relaxed and sat directly next to Lu Bu. Chen Gongtai is wise but slow, and for a while, he may not be able to see the mystery behind it. Chen Yuanlong is inconsistent in his appearance and only considers the future of the Chen family. How could he sincerely provide advice for Lu Bu? Taking a step back, even if the two of them see through, does the father-in-law think that with Lu Bu's stubborn and self-righteous personality, he will listen to them? Lu Bu's heart tightened and his head seemed to be hit hard. The words may not sound good, but every sentence cannot find any flaws. Yes, if this letter is accidentally found by oneself, who will persuade them? They will definitely think that the other party is secretly colluding with Lu Bu. Unexpectedly, the city of Xuzhou, which he claimed to be as solid as gold, was broken with just one letter from this kid. Lu Bu stared blankly at Lin Mo. This kid is not easy. I guess so. Lingqi has always had a high heart since childhood. How could an ordinary person win her heart? It's a pity that he is a lowly person. If there are some portals that can help me, it may not necessarily be able to fulfill him. It is undeniable that after some conversation, Lin Mo gained enough favor from Lu Bu, but ultimately did not reach the point where he could let go. Lu Bu stood up and walked twice in the hall before looking at Lin Mo. You have some talent. What are your plans for the future? The move of becoming a saint in front of others is indeed effective. After seeing a significant change in his father-in-law's attitude in the future, Lin Mo also became indecisive. He immediately stood up and arched his hand, saying, I hope that my father-in-law can help me promote filial piety and integrity to the government. If it is possible to establish connections, it would be best to go to Xuchang for a position. Do you want to join Cao Cao? Lu Bu's eyes flashed sharply. At present, Cao Cao is our top choice. Lin Mo, who did not capture Lu Bu's displeased expression, discussed the situation. After taking a deep breath, Lu Bu suppressed his impulse and took a sip of tea before looking at Lin Mo playfully. Fortunately, you are currently in Xuzhou. If you were in Chaoying, based on the previous plan, Xuzhou would really have some trouble, he said. That's not really me boasting to my father-in-law. Lin Mo, who became more relaxed as he chatted, leaned over and whispered, if Cao Cao is willing to listen to me, just Lu Bu, I can use more than 10 different methods to make him break the city. The successful manifestation of the sage, Lin Mo felt that exaggeration was okay. Without giving him more confidence, how could he be willing to invest in himself in the future? Lu Bu remained silent with a dark face, and his finally calmed heart was stirred up with ripples. Is it so unbearable for me, Lu Bu? He wanted to burst out and shout. Reading www.uukangshu.net raised Lin Mo and told him word by word, I am Lu Bu, what do you want? But if he is truly a talented person, not only will Xuzhou be stable, but his future is also promising. After pondering for a moment, Lu Bu walked to the door and turned his back to Lin Mo, let me think twice about this matter. Even if I want to promote filial piety and integrity for you, I still need to go back to Wen County. I still have to stay in Xuzhou for a while, let's talk about it later. Lu Bu, who would be indecisive for a while, decided to let go for a while. At present, I often encounter various troublesome problems, which happens to test Lin Mo with these difficulties. If he were really a genius, even with Lingqi tying him up, he wouldn't be able to run. Farewell to your father-in-law. It wasn't until Lu Bu left the other courtyard that Lin Mo let out a long sigh of relief. Even if the situation hadn't happened yet, the plan just now was a superior one, and he could have remained so calm. I originally thought that after this encounter, Zhang Sheng would be delighted to take him back to Wen County and then devote all his family background to cultivating himself. After all, having the status of a son-in-law would be of great benefit to the Zhang family if one achieves success in the future. I didn't expect him to continue testing. Lin Mo stretched lazily, but in the end, he took this first step, much better than being driven around. Moreover, besides the Battle of Xuzhou, there are also battles such as Guandu, Jade Belt Decree, and Red Cliff. There are many opportunities to make achievements, and Lin Mo is not in a hurry for this moment. After tidying up his divergent thoughts, he walked towards the osmanthus tree, picked up a nearby knife, and polished and carved a wooden piece. When the time comes, I'll use this as a gift for Cao Cao to meet him. It's enough to elevate my status to the level of participating in military and political discussions. Chapter 3. Xuzhou's Dilemma. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Why are you still here? Just as Lu Bu walked out of the gate, he saw Zhang Liao walking towards him, obviously waiting here. Ho Cheng has returned from Xiaopei, Zhang Liao said in a low voice. How's it going? Zhang Liao made a gesture of invitation and led Lu Bu to a secluded place in the alley before saying in a low voice. The situation is not very good. Liu Bei has already recruited nearly 10,000 people, and the speed is too fast. This. How could it be? Lu Bu stared at the tiger with disbelief on his face. 2 months ago, Liu Bei's troops were less than 3,000, but now they are approaching 10,000. Where did he get his food and equipment? Marquis Yuan, the richest man in Xuzhou, the Mi family, devoted all their financial resources to support Liu Bei and also brought thousands of serfs from their family over. Lu Bu's right fist angrily hit the wall. How could Liu Bei be so lucky? The Mi family voted for him but not for me. Not only the Mi family, but also the local powerful families in Xuzhou are all distancing themselves from us. Zhang Liao frowned and sighed. Zhuo Rong closed the door to complain about his illness, Zhang Ba hid in Langya, Zhao Yu went to the East China Sea, as well as the Zhang and Lu families. None of these people have kept thousands or even tens of thousands of serfs in captivity, evading taxes and paying taxes. They are also inconsistent in their treatment of Marquis Yuan. This problem is very tricky. Marquises, it's not that you truly become the owner of a certain city just by acquiring it. To establish the title of the head of Xuzhou, one must obtain the support of these powerful aristocratic families. Even in many cases, these aristocratic powers and feudal lords are not necessarily in a subordinate relationship, but rather like partners. Lu Bu rubbed his swollen eyebrows, and after a while, something suddenly came to his mind. He looked at Zhang Liao and said, "What about Xiao Jian? Didn't he say he would do his best to support me?" Zhang Liao sighed and shook his head. Not long ago, Zhang Ba took people to Ju City and wiped out the assets of the Xiao family for colluding with the enemy. It's Zhang Ba again. Lu Bu's veins bulging on his forehead. I'll chop him sooner or later. It was originally pointed out that his defection could expand his strength and also drive the local powerful families, which is great now. Wen Ho, I thought the problem was still with Chen Deng. I understand. Lu Bu nodded at Zhang Liao's words. They are all aware that on this 3-acre plot of land in Xuzhou, the powerful families are actually following the Chen family's lead. As long as the Chen family joins their forces, others will inevitably follow. What is despicable is that the father and son of the Chen family are indeed cunning. While asking Chen Deng to serve as a counselor in the government office, he ended up just using his tongue. When the Chen family really puts in effort, he always finds a reason to evade. At this moment, Lu Bu gained a deeper understanding of Lin Mo's statement. Chen Deng prioritizes the interests of his family in handling affairs. Seeing that Lu Bu had no further words, Zhang Liao tentatively asked, Marquis Yuan, did you just send that kid away? Lu Bu was clear about what Zhang Liao was trying to say. If the situation in Xuzhou could not improve, not to mention Cao Cao, even Liu Bei might retaliate. In such a situation, marrying the Yuan family is not only the best option, but also the only way out. Let me try starting from the Chen family again. Lu Bu didn't say much and left the alley directly. In the next half-month, Lu Bu did indeed have the intention to deal with Chen Deng. He wanted to use his personal charm to persuade Chen Deng to sincerely join him, rather than just talking. Chen Deng's mind was already spinning fast, and with the guidance of an old fox named Chen Gui behind his back, every time Lu Bu punched, it was like hitting a cotton quilt and being resolved. He is also very helpless. On this day, Chen Gong, dressed in Confucian attire and with a goat beard, hurriedly ran into the governor's mansion. Wen ho! Wen ho! Chen Gong, holding a bundle of bamboo slips in his hand, approached Lu Bu without even bowing and said, "Just now, while patrolling the outer city, he took down a suspicious-looking person and found a secret letter from him. Confidential message." At this moment, inside the prefect's mansion, Lu Bu was sitting in the main seat, while the elegant Chen Deng was sitting on the left. On the right were Gao Shun and Zhang Liao, all four of whom were staring closely at the bamboo slips in Chen Gong's hands. Read it. Bei Bai Bai worships Sikong, and Lu Bu is truly a wolf in the heart. If left behind, it will inevitably become a major threat to the court. Now, Bei has received financial support from the Mi family and the assistance of Sikong's military equipment. Xiao Pei has stationed more than 10,000 troops and has already gained the strength of one battle. Please lead the royal army of the court to the front line on the 28th of this month, and immediately prepare for the general to join forces with Sikong from north to south to attack Xuzhou, wielding the sword of the giant thief Lu Bu. After Chen Gong finished reading the content on the bamboo slips, everyone's faces froze, and the hall was quiet, only breathing could be heard. Liu Bei invited Cao Cao to jointly attack Xuzhou, which is definitely news at the level of bad news. With their current military strength, provisions, and supplies, they may not be able to sustain for even a month. Bang! Lu Bu slapped the handsome desk with a palm, and the 4-inch thick desk was cut in half, with wood shavings splattering. The great ear thief has no faith. If it weren't for me shooting a halberd to save him, he would have been killed by Ji Ling long ago. Now, how could we repay him with kindness? If we don't kill him, it won't dispel my hatred in my heart. Lu Bu's eyes were about to crack, and his fists clenched with a clattering sound. Everyone seemed to have reacted, and Gao Shun bowed first and said, "Marquis Wen, since Liu Bei wants to collude with Cao Cao to plot Xuzhou, I suggest sending troops to Peicheng. Marquis Wen, we must not combine these two forces. We should launch a surprise attack on Xiaopei and deal with Liu Bei before Cao Lu has reacted, so that we can focus on dealing with Cao Cao." Zhang Liao also agreed. After the two finished speaking, Chen Deng calmly walked to the middle of the hall, bowed, and said angrily, "Liu Bei is actually a rare hypocrite from ancient times. He hates Marquis Wen for taking Xuzhou and being powerless to fight, so he has to surrender to Cao Cao. I can even conclude that after the success of Yu reading www.yuukangshu.net, Liu Bei will be appointed as the governor of Xuzhou, which is a transaction. Please quickly mobilize Marquis Wen and catch him off guard. This move can not only crush Liu Bei's conspiracy, but also deter Cao Cao." As he approached, he didn't forget to add, "By the way, I am willing to support Lord Wen with 5,000 stones of grain and grass." Everyone was united in their hatred. How could Lu Bu remain unmoved, especially with the support of food and supplies? He glanced at Chen Gong, who had a worried expression on his face without any statement, probably not making a decision yet, but it was not important. When Yuan immediately sent someone to Xiepi to recall Song Xian and Wei Su. Boping quickly reorganized his troops and prepared to attack Liu Bei. After Lu Bu, who had sat down again, gave the battle order, Gao Shun and Zhang Liao turned around to go out, and Chen Deng followed behind them. Chen Gong's mouth moved and he wanted to say something, but he never spoke. "Wait. Just as the three of them walked to the door, Lu Bu suddenly stopped them. A name flashed through his mind. Lin Mo. The content of this letter is exactly what Lin Mo said earlier. Just because I was too angry at the beginning and hadn't gone to see Lin Mo for the past half-month, I forgot about this matter. Can we say that this is really Cao Cao's conspiracy? Or is it just a coincidence? Lu Bu couldn't make up his mind for a moment, but with Lin Mo's previous statement, he instinctively calmed himself down. This kind of thing cannot be chosen wrong, otherwise it will be irreparable. After watching everyone look at him suspiciously and pondering for a moment, Lu Bu still asked what he was worried about. Do you think this could be a conspiracy of Cao Cao? Chapter 4. Desperate Lu Bu. You are listening at novelfull.audio. The hall fell silent again. Everyone's gaze turned to Lu Bu, their faces filled with disbelief. Can this letter be a conspiracy of Cao Cao? This concern did surprise them quite a bit, but what truly shocked them was that the problem was actually raised by Lu Bu. Especially Chen Deng, blinking his eyes, is he really Lu Bu? If it weren't for what he saw with his own eyes, he would rather believe that it was Chen Gong who raised doubts about Lu Bu that gave him this shocking question. Zhang Liao and Gao Shun were also somewhat confused, looking at each other without saying a word. What Lord Wen thinks is exactly what I am worried about. Chen Gong, who was the first to react, took a step forward with joy and bowed, saying, if Liu Bei wants to join Cao, he should have taken action when Ji Ling led his troops on the expedition. At that time, his troops were weak and his supplies were not sufficient. Now, with over 10,000 soldiers and abundant provisions, it would be unwise to ally with Cao at this time. Perhaps awakened by Lu Bu's shout, Chen Gong cleared his eyes of confusion and finally realized the most unreasonable aspect of this matter, which was the wrong timing. Marquis 1, this kind of thing cannot be taken for granted. If the letter is true, we will really have no chance once Cao Cao's army arrives. After adjustment, Chen Deng immediately spoke up. What did you two say? Lu Bu looked at Zhang Liagaoshan standing at the door. After glancing at each other, the two of them bowed in tacit agreement and said, follow the orders of Marquis 1. Lu Bu helped his forehead, feeling a bit embarrassed. Since occupying Xuzhou, when Chen Gong and Chen Deng had differing opinions, he still leaned more towards the latter. It's not that it's assumed that Chen Deng is more talented than Chen Gong. If we really want to stabilize the situation in Xuzhou, we have to rely on the Chen family. But right now they both had their own points, and for a moment, Lu Bu had no idea at all. To untie the bell, you still need a person to tie the bell. It's better to ask that kid. Lu Bu let out a sigh and said in a muffled voice, let me think twice. After speaking, he stood up and left the prefect's mansion. He first went home and was ready to change his military uniform. Lu Bu's home is located next to the prefect's mansion, which was originally the general's mansion where Liu Bei lived. It was set up next door for the convenience of discussing politics on weekdays. After changing into a deep blue brocade robe, Lu Bu strode towards Pingfu Street. Wolf smoke rises, looking north to the mountains and rivers, dragon flags roll, horses hiss, sword energy is like frost, heart is like the vast yellow river water, who can resist in 20 years' time. Lin Mo lay on the lazy chair, crossing his legs and leisurely humming a tune. The afternoon sun shone through the osmanthus tree behind him and fell on his face, making him feel very comfortable. Who can resist in 20 years of history? Haha, this kid's singing is quite crazy. Standing at the door, Lu Bu felt that in this world, only he was probably worthy of the lyrics. Has the father.in.law arrived? Yu Guang caught a glimpse of Lu Bu walking in. Lin Mo stood up from the lazy chair and bowed with a smile, I thought you had returned to Wen County. I'm a bit resentful of what you said. Lu Bu didn't have the mood to joke with him either. He pressed his hand against Lin Mo, who was getting up to enter the inner room, and said, don't be busy, just sit here. After asking him to sit down, Lin Mo brought a small stool and stood beside him. Your father.in.law, it has been half a month now, and visiting friends should be over. When will we set off for Wen County? Lin Mo is very conflicted now. He didn't know when Cao Cao would attack Xuzhou, and was worried that if he attacked the city, he would become a target of slaughter. After leaving Xuzhou, he was worried that he would die at the hands of mountain bandits as a scumbag. I can only hope that Zhang Xing's visit to friends will end soon, so that he can go to Wen County to avoid trouble. I won't mention this for now. Lu Bu waved his hand and looked at Lin Mo intently. I've been thinking carefully about what you said last time. If Lu Bu really received that letter, he might not have used force against Xiao Pei because Cao Cao overlooked the most crucial point. Lin Mo looked at Lu Bu without saying a word, waiting for his next message. Timing. Lu Bu tapped his finger bones on the nearby table and analyzed. Think carefully, when Yuan Shu sent troops, Liu Bei had only over 3,000 troops under his command. At that time, he had not yet defected to Cao. What about now? Do you know that Liu Bei has already recruited tens of thousands of troops and horses in Xiaopei? How could he choose to join Cao at such a time? Sure enough, his test of me has not ended yet. This is also a matter of helplessness. After all, the assumption is that people will only be willing to believe that you are right after something happens. Lin Mo took a deep breath and sat upright. He estimated that his future father.in.law would not take him to Wen County unless he brought out some dry goods. Today, let me tell you why the flowers are so spicy and red. The timing is not important at all, and even whether Lu Bu will send troops to attack Xiaopei is not the key. When this letter falls into Lu Bu's hands, the situation in Xuzhou is no longer within his control. Joke, how could the situation in Xuzhou get out of control due to a letter falling into my hands? Lu Bu sneered as if he had heard the Arabian Nights, you're just exaggerating things. Lin Mo smiled slightly and said, your father. In.law, if Lu Bu chooses to remain indifferent after receiving this letter, then those wealthy and powerful families in Xuzhou will feel that Lu Bu is afraid. Should we get online with Cao Cao as soon as possible? Heart-wrenching. Lu Bu couldn't help but clench his fist. This is indeed something that those wealthy and powerful families have done. Moreover, if Chen Deng knew about this, it meant that all the powerful families in the territory of Xuzhou knew about it, and it was impossible to conceal it. Even so, it's not as exaggerated as you said. This is just one of them. Lin Mo put away his smile and increased his volume a bit. The most fatal thing is the second one. If I guess correctly, with Cao Cao's wrist, it is absolutely impossible to write only one letter. There should be a second letter. The second letter. Where is it? Xiaopei, in Liu Bei's hands. Lin Mo lightly tapped on the table and said firmly, this letter was written by Lu Bu to Yuan Shu. The content is that the two families have already become relatives and are willing to take the opportunity. Please rest assured that Yuan Shu will not interfere. His Lu Bu took a cold breath and his pupils dilated rapidly. At this moment, the Yuan and Lu families have not truly formed a marriage alliance, but when the Huainan envoy came to Pengcheng to propose marriage, there was a lot of fighting, and Liu Bei must have known about it. With the prelude to the marriage alliance, Liu Bei accidentally intercepted such a letter again, and no one would doubt the content of the letter. What will happen then? Even with 10,000 troops, it is not enough to face the strong forces of Huainan. The only way to save oneself is to seek refuge with Cao Cao. The more he thought about it, the more scared Lu Bu became. He couldn't help but gasp for breath. No wonder you said that after this letter fell into the hands of Lu Bu, Xuzhou had already lost control. Now, it seems that this move is simply a scheme that cannot be avoided. Cao Cao, he is truly cunning and cunning. In Lu Bu's trembling voice, there was a hint of despair. Half a month ago, when Lin Mo said this, he would feel that this kid is thinking nonsense. There are not so many kind-hearted people. But in fact, he had already predicted the appearance of the first letter, so this second letter no wonder he says there will be a big battle in Xuzhou soon, no wonder he wants to go and join Cao Cao. I'm a bit eager to go. So, my father.in.law, you must have listened to my son.in.law's advice. The gentleman, without standing under a dangerous wall, should leave Xuzhou and return to Yuan County as soon as possible. That year, I had my hands in my pockets and didn't know what an opponent was. As Lin Mo watched his father.in.law's face turn pale as he was shocked by his predetermined strategy, he felt that his divine power had been elevated to another level. Now, you should be able to invest in me with peace of mind, right? During this period, after rushing back to Yuan County and following the process of promoting filial piety and integrity, if the relationship is strong enough, one should be able to join the Cao group within a year. That is to say, there is still time to offer advice on flooding Xuzhou. Adding these inventions that I have on hand, it wouldn't be too much of a marquee. Thinking about the beautiful days in the future, Lin Mo feels energized. As Lin Mo was immersed in his brain, Lu Bu finally came to his senses. He fixed his gaze on Lin Mo and took a deep breath. Yun, as you said, Xuzhou has become a losing situation. I want to know, if you come to deal with it, do you still have the power to turn things around? Chapter 5. He understands me. You are listening at novelfull.audio. If I remember correctly, this is the first time my father.in.law has called me. Lin Mo just realized that his father.in.law's expression was quite interesting. It was clear that Lu Bu was in trouble, but why did he get angry? Wait, the father.in.law is visiting an old friend this time. I don't know who he is. Would it be convenient to inform him? At first, Lin Mo felt that the other party was shocked by his ingenious plan. But looking back on his maintenance of Lu Bu during the first meeting, a bad idea came to mind. This guy really has something to do with Lu Bu. If history messes up later, how can I still eat the prophet's welfare? Oh. Lu Bu, who realized his loss of composure, coughed and straightened his chest, regaining his usual coldness. He said, "There's nothing I can't say. Have you heard the name Lu Wentao? Lu Wentao. Lu Su's father. Do you know Lu Zijing?" Originally thinking of casually reporting the name of a wealthy family, Lu Bu was surprised to find that Lin Mo could name Lu Su. I don't know. Lin Mo shook his head and said, I've only heard of his name. Lu Su was Sun Tzu who followed Zhou Yu to seek refuge before the Battle of Xuzhou in 198. He should have been in Xuzhou at that time. Don't you want me to promote filial piety and integrity to your official career? Lu Bu's eyes turned and he thought to himself, then let me see your skills. That question just now seemed like a dead end. If you can break the deadlock, I can ask Lu Wentao to come forward and recommend you to Lu Bu's command now. In Xuzhou, you don't need me to say much about the reputation of the Lu family. I believe that Lu Bu will sell him this face. What's the difficulty of this? Upon hearing that his father.in.law was willing to uphold filial piety and integrity for himself, Lin Mo immediately regained his energy, leaned against the other person, and outlined the corners of his mouth. Crisis, danger, and opportunity come together. In my son.in.law's opinion, Cao Cao's move is not just a scheme, but also a big gift to Lu Bu. Speak up quickly. Lu Bu's excited tactical retreat. Let's put aside the big or small gifts and solve the problem of survival first. My father.in.law wants to test my son.in.law, which is understandable. My son.in.law has put forward his opinion. If my father.in.law is satisfied, he will promote filial piety and integrity for me. Of course, it is the best result, but... Lin Mo sneered and said, there's no need to go under the command of Lu Bu. The Lu family doesn't even go, so why should I? Ah, this Lu Bu has a black thread on his head. Yes, among the local aristocratic families, Lu Wentao is quite respectful to him, and he didn't let Lu Zijing work under me. Lu Bu felt a chill in his heart and smiled bitterly. Why do you all look down on Lu Bu so much? Is he so miserable? Do I still need to explain the reason? Lin Mo was surprised that his father-in-law had asked such a question and exclaimed, have you never heard of Lu Bu among people and Red Rabbit among horses? Lu Bu's eyes flashed with a light, and just as he was about to agree, Lin Mo didn't stop. Fang Tian drew a halberd, specifically to stab his adoptive father. He said with a smooth mouth, what do you want to do? Lu Bu's eyes twitched. The act of killing his father in earlier years had already tarnished his reputation. Who wouldn't know how capricious he was? Liu Bei took him in, and he even took people from the city. How could he subdue the crowd? These are just secular people's opinions on Lu Bu. You have no reason to be ignorant, right? Lu Bu sighed, even if it was true, you couldn't go around saying it. Lin Mo turned a deaf ear and said to himself, if there is only one thing I admire about him, it is his background. Lu Bu is not easy. Lin Mo stretched lazily and said, looking at the world, the Yuan brothers, for generations, and 3 dukes, Lu Biao from Jingzhou and Lu Zhang from Yizhou, have suffered from the influence of their ancestors. Cao Cao relied on the network and resources accumulated by his grandfather Cao Jia in the past, and even Liu Bei had to wear the brand of Zhongshan Jingwang. Only Lu Bu rose up among the fields, and from a muddy background, he has not been easy to come to this day. When it comes to doing things, it is inevitable to first consider gains and losses, rather than reputation. After all, he can only rely on himself over the years, no one has truly understood themselves. At this moment, Lu Bu's nose was slightly sore. He stared at Lin Mo in a daze, speechless, and memories of the past came to mind. Can the children of aristocratic families who have lived a luxurious life since childhood understand how difficult it is to step out of the barren land of Jiuyuan? They have to fight for what they can get by waving their hands. You have good fathers and ancestors, but I don't. If anyone wants to snatch what I've sacrificed my life for, I'll cut off their head. Lu Bu took a deep breath, as he, who was not good at disguise, forcefully suppressed his inner sadness and looked at Lin Mo. This young man who understood him gave him an unprecedented sense of closeness at this moment. Since that's the case, why sneer at him? Your father-in-law is somewhat unaware that there are internal and external troubles in Xuzhou city. The aristocratic families are not attached, and the generals are centrifugal. Lu Bu has no ability to deal with these problems. Lin Mo wiped the crowd and said with a smirk, the biggest problem is that he is too stubborn to listen to good advice. If I were under his command, even if I had good strategies, it would be difficult to achieve success. The above is my pretentious motto. The actual problem is that after helping him overcome the Xuzhou crisis, my special prophetic skills will no longer be useful. I think you can, Lu Bu smiled. Does the father-in-law have a good relationship with Lu Bu? Second probing. After hesitating for a moment, Lu Bu finally shook his head. Judging from this situation, his perception of himself is still relatively poor and it's not easy to force him. Looking back, it's fortunate that Lingqi didn't reveal her true identity, otherwise I might have missed out on a stunning talent. He is still a very interesting genius. If you don't want to join Lu Bu, let's keep this matter under control. Let's talk about your solution first. Lin Mo didn't immediately explain and got up and walked towards the house. When he came out again, he was holding a brocade box in his arms. Inside are some pastries, such as almond cake and osmanthus cake. Lin Mo picked up a piece of cake and saw Lu Bu waving his hand to refuse, so he threw it directly into his mouth. Subsequently, several pastries were taken out from inside and placed on the table. This military plan cannot be explained in a more straightforward and understandable way than sand table deduction. Xuchang, Xuzhou, Shaopei, Huainan and Mount Taishan Prefecture. What is Lu Bu's biggest problem now? Father-in-law knows. Lin Mo raised his eyes and asked. After pondering for a moment, Lu Bu nodded slightly and said, the powerful families are not attached. Cao Cao and Yuan Shu are watching closely, and there is insufficient supply of food and grass, making it difficult to recruit soldiers. Lin Mo smiled and shook his head. Not only that, there are many grievances among subordinates. Lu Bu is only a nominal ally, and what's even more tricky is that the Chen family actually has a heart for Cao Cao, but Lu Bu didn't notice it. As long as this battle is fought well, all the above-mentioned problems will be easily solved. That's why my son-in-law said, this is a great gift from Cao Cao to Lu Bu. Just breaking the game is already enough to be a headache. Yu reading www.uukangshu.net. Listening to your advice not only allows you to break the game, but also helps you digest internal problems in Xuzhou. It's unbelievable Lu Bu couldn't help but move the lazy chair so that he could face Lin Mo. Simply put, it's just 8 words. Follow the plan, please put it in the urn. Lin Mo looked at Lu Bu and raised his eyebrows, saying, your father-in-law, do you know what Cao Cao intends to do when sending this letter to Lu Bu? Of course, it was to seize Xuzhou, Lu Bu said without hesitation. I thought to myself, but this letter is not enough to help him get Xuzhou. He just hopes that Lu Bu can send troops to attack Peichin, and in the end, whoever wins or loses will surely break the situation where the Lv and Lu families are at odds with each other. Indeed, Lu Bu nodded with a sudden expression on his face. So, to break the situation, we must also bring Chao's army to the battlefield, Lin Mo emphasized, picking up the pastry symbolizing Su Chang. How to do it? What situation would Cao Cao most like to see, father-in-law? Do you know? Lu Bu shook his head honestly, while Lin Mo continued with a smile, what he would most like is for the Cao army to suddenly appear and reap the benefits of the great war between Lu and Lu. Right. That's what I thought just now. I didn't have time to say it, but Lu Bu smiled very foolishly. But because the two places are too far apart, he dare not send troops before the outcome of the matter. If he waits for the frontline battle report to be sent back to Xuchang before making arrangements, it will be too late, so he can only wait. Lin Mo's analysis penetrated deeply, and Lu Bu became more interested in listening, constantly changing his sitting posture. If Lin Mo deliberately paused for a moment, outlined the corner of his mouth, and said, Lu Bu clearly stated that he wanted to send troops, but it would be delayed for a while. Your father-in-law, guess what? Can Cao Cao still hold back? Chapter 6. Lin Mo breaks the game. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Of course I can't help it anymore. He will definitely send a fast horse to the front line, waiting for Lu Bu and Lu Bu to determine the winner, and then capture them all in one net. Lu Bu frowned and showed a hint of bitterness. The question is, how can we tell Cao Cao in advance when Lu Bu will send troops in the evening? This plan should be to use a time difference to catch Cao Cao. How could it cause a time difference, but Lu Bu couldn't figure it out? This is not simple. As long as Lu Bu convenes the civil and military discussions and orders to attack Lu, he may be limited by food and supplies, and the date of deployment will be postponed for a few days. Naturally, someone will pass on this news to Cao Cao. Who? This sentence clearly refers to the presence of collaborators in Xuzhou city, and Lu Bu was unable to suppress his inner anger. He gritted his teeth tightly and his jaw protruded. Why are the powerful families in Xuzhou unwilling to rely on Lu Bu? Faced with Lin Mo's rhetorical question, Lu Bu remained stunned and remained silent. Yes, some of them must have a crush on Cao Cao. As long as you finalize the attack on Lu in front of Chen Deng, the powerful families will receive this news within a day. How could a person who wants to curry favor with Cao Cao miss such a blessed opportunity? However, this is no longer important. Because Lin Mo had reached this level of analysis, Lu Bu's mind had completely understood his plan. I understand what you mean. It's called dealing with Lu Bu, but in reality, it's waiting for the Cao army to enter the jar. Lu Bu raised the last question. The only unreasonable thing is, if Lu Bu takes the initiative to attack during this process, wouldn't Lu Bu have to be caught in a battle on both sides? I don't know. Lin Mo confidently picked up the osmanthus cake representing Xiao Pei and raised it in front of Lu Bu, saying, as long as we arrive at Pei City, Lu Bu will take out the secret letter of collusion to accuse Lu Bu, and he will definitely not leave the city. Because once you leave the city, it is equivalent to admitting that you have connections with Cao. Secondly, if he really had another letter in his hand, he would immediately understand that it must have been designed by Cao Cao or Yuan Shu. In either case, he would prefer to stay inside Peicheng and not come out under Lin Mo's reasonable and well-founded explanation. Lu Bu suddenly became enlightened. This kid is not just talking nonsense. He designed everything from the beginning. It's amazing. A quarter of an hour ago, he felt that Cao Cao's plan was shocking to heaven and earth. Even if Chen Gong and Chen Deng were tied together, they might not be able to come up with a way to break the situation. Unexpectedly, Lin Mo acted lightly and relied heavily, not only beautifully thwarting Cao Cao's conspiracy, but also taking advantage of the other party in turn. Wonderful, wonderful. I didn't expect you to have such a sophisticated and strategic mind at such a young age. Han Xian's military tactics in the past may not have passed this level. Good tactics, good calculation. Lu Bu, who is used to flattery, inevitably feels a bit proud in his heart, and he rarely praises others in his daily life. But at this moment, he felt that any kind of praise and beauty words could not be used too much on Lin Mo's body. Not only because he solved the deadlock for himself and turned the tide. Because he is his future son.in.law. I have a virtuous son.in.law named Lin Mo, why be afraid of being a mere bandit? Previously, he was somewhat regretful that his daughter had been spoiled by him. Her personality was too strong, and even if he didn't choose the Yuan family with 4 generations and 3 nobles, at least it had to be a powerful family to deserve her. As a result, he chose a lowly refugee. Now, he just wants to say to LV Lingqi that he is really accurate in judging people. So, can I say that my son.in.law has passed the test of his father.in.law? Lu Bu didn't answer and slowly got up. The sunlight behind him shone on his towering body like a city wall, making Lin Mo somewhat unable to see his expression clearly. Yunwen, I have confirmed your marriage. Perhaps Lin Mo had not yet realized what it meant for Lu Bu, who had no son, to say this. He only knew that he could quickly escape Xuzhou, so he smiled and bowed. Thank you very much, father.in.law. I wonder when father.in.law is planning to depart for Wen County. It's not urgent. Lu Bu, who sat down again, waved his hand and said, I still have some things to do in Xuzhou, but you can rest assured that I am familiar with Lu Wentao. Even if the Cao army breaks in, hiding at the Lu family can ensure peace. Now Lin Mo is completely at ease. Cao Cao did indeed know how to slaughter cities, but he slaughtered only refugees and lowly people, and would not run to the homes of wealthy families to kill. By the way, from what you see, who among the powerful aristocratic families in Xuzhou is most likely to lead the way to Cao? Lu Bu tried to relax as much as possible, as if chatting, without even looking at Lin Mo. Chen family, this is beyond doubt. Chen Deng. Lu Bu does not rule out this possibility. If we follow what you just deduced, after a great defeat to Cao Cao, we can also turn back and deal with the Chen family. As long as the Chen family is dealt with for colluding with the enemy, other aristocratic powers will inevitably honestly seek refuge with Lu Bu, which is indeed wonderful. After the stone hanging in his heart was lowered, Lu Bu felt very relaxed and crossed his legs, saying, No. Lin Mo shook his head and sighed, actually, the Chen family's approach is completely wrong. He just wants to choose the wise master in his heart and plan a future for the Chen family. You should know that there is not just one powerful family in Xuzhou who wants to join Cao Cao, the Chen family. Lu Bu can't kill them all, can he? Lu Bu frowned and didn't speak, knowing that Lin Mo was telling the truth. In fact, Chen Deng has also said such things. The reason why they have been inconsistent with themselves is simply to stabilize themselves and find a suitable opportunity before joining Cao Cao. So, Lin Mo first said, the wisest approach is to hold on to the evidence of the Chen family's collusion with the enemy but open up the possibility. This not only tells the Chen family that as long as they are willing, Lu Bu can deal with them at any time, but also cuts off the Chen family's desire to continue defecting to Cao. The most important thing is that by doing so, Lu Bu's notorious reputation, which was once disheveled, will be partially remedied. The powerful aristocrats of the aristocratic family will think, Lu Bu is really a broad-minded leader. Perhaps it is the right thing to join him. After the news spreads, it will not only be Xuzhou, but also the powerful aristocrats of other states and counties will be eager to move forward. Amazing, this gaze is far enough, and Lu Bu couldn't help but raise the corner of his mouth. According to his personality, if it is confirmed that the Chen family really knows Cao, he will not be able to vent his anger without killing him completely. After listening to Lin Mo's analysis, he realized that winning a momentary battle for morale was useless. It is the wise person's approach to obtain the maximum benefit. When the Lu, Zhang, Zhao, and Zhou families do not obediently submit. For a period of time, Lu Bu felt that Xuzhou was simply a hot potato. Apart from gaining a large number of common people, the wealthy and powerful families did not attach themselves to it, and they also wanted to provoke the coveted forces of Cao and Yuan. Today, he was shocked by Lin Mo's words and his thoughts were clear. So it's not that I can't make use of all of this, it's because I don't know how to make use of it. No wonder he would say that this battle can solve all these problems at once, from the beginning of the battle, to dealing with them in the middle, and then to gathering the aristocratic family at the end. Surprisingly, he counted all of them, he is such a demon boy. Lu Bu even felt inexplicably grateful to the heavens, otherwise how could he have met such a wicked young man? No, I should thank my sensible daughter for finding a good husband. Yunwen, it's almost time. I even made an appointment with Lu Wentao to drink. What else is missing in your mansion? You can tell me. After having a clear direction and goal, Lu Bu's whole body was boiling with enthusiasm and full of energy. He immediately stood up and prepared to go back and arrange a plan. Your father. Law, there is no shortage of other things. However, since your father. Law has such a good relationship with the Lu family, could you recommend Lu Zijing to me? I have some things I would like him to help with. After pondering for a moment, Lu Bu nodded and said, this is easy to handle. Tomorrow, I will have Lu Zijing come over. He is quite ambitious, so it would be better for you young people to get closer. Although the Lu family refuses to enter the scene, they will still honestly comply with this small request, and Lu Bu has great confidence in it. Thank you very much, Father. Law. After bidding farewell to Lu Bu, Lin Mo returned to the osmanthus tree and took out a few pieces of silk cloth from his arms. The above records are all small inventions, such as wine making, steel making, soap and perfume. After selecting for a while, Lin Mo took out one of the silk cloths and murmured to himself, in this era, there were already saddles and stirrups, but there were no horseshoes yet. Creating some horseshoes is very practical. Having just traveled through that time, Lin Mo was ambitious and full of confidence. I think even without the prophet's skills, with these inventions, I can be carefree for a lifetime. Later on, he finally realized that this idea was somewhat foolish. No matter what invention you make, you can't sell to ordinary people. The reason is simple. It's hard for most ordinary people to survive. They can't afford to buy soap and perfume. Green salt and iron making were not as simple as I thought. During the Western Han Dynasty, salt and iron were monopolized by the imperial court, sparking a century-long struggle for profit between aristocratic families and the court. In the Eastern Han Dynasty, although there was no clear decree to lift the monopoly, the aristocratic families had already reached out to the salt and iron business, and the court was mostly turning a blind eye. But that's a family, not a business that you, a lowly traveler, can handle. It can even be said that any invention or business that wants to achieve long-term profitability cannot be achieved without the support of strong aristocratic families or feudal lords. Lin Mo's original plan was to join Cao Cao, make some contributions, and then contribute these inventions, at least not to be exploited too miserably. Now, it is possible to try borrowing the power of the Lu family. Anyway, make some money first and hire some capable guards. Even if this father-in-law who doesn't love going home really goes wrong, he won't end up on the chopping board. Chapter 7. Horseshoe. You are listening at novelfull.audio. 2 days later, there were several more personnel in the political affairs hall of the Pengcheng prefect's office than before. Hao Meng, Chao Xing, Qing Lian, Ho Cheng, and Wei Yu. If we follow Lu Bu's initial plan to launch a strong attack on Peicheng, then Wei Su and Song Xian, who stayed behind in Xiapi, should both be present. After obtaining the method to break the situation from Lin Mo, he did not make a hasty decision, but first asked Chen Deng if there were any countermeasures. The answer is negative. This made Lu Bu firmly believe in his son-in-law's idea and give it a try. Lu Bu was ungrateful and secretly conspired with Cao Cao to plot against Xuzhou. My decision was made, and I waved my army to Peicheng and personally beheaded the head of the great ear thief. Please send troops, Marquis 1. For this decision, except for the unease between Chen Deng's eyebrows, everyone present was not surprised, and Chen Deng's heart was even secretly delighted. When Yuan, bopping. The end will come. Zhang Liao and Gao Shun stood out to bow. Let you two lead the brave cavalry camp and the trapped camp as the vanguard, and set off at the 10th hour of the first lunar month to set up camp outside Peicheng. I will lead a large army to follow suit. Here. Zichu, Fangzheng. The end will come. Hao Meng and Qing Lian stood up. I will allocate 4,000 soldiers to you and stay in Pengcheng. Here. After arranging everything properly, Lu Bu waved his hand and everyone in the hall bowed and retreated. Chen Deng did not leave, and Chen Deng, who was originally planning to leave, chose to stay. Marquis 1, although Peicheng is not a strong city, it will take at least half a month to launch a strong attack. Why does the army have to wait for 5 days to advance? If Cao Cao intervenes recklessly. Faced with Chen Deng's questions, Lu Bu didn't pay much attention. The food and forage in Pengcheng were not enough to support the army's long-term combat. 2 days ago, I had asked Wen Yuan to send a fast horse to notify Wei Su to transport food and forage from Xiapi here. No one knows more about Xuzhou's finances, taxes, troops, and equipment than Chen Deng, who is the governor of Xuzhou. He was well aware that there were still 30,000 stones of grain stored in Pengcheng, which was enough to support a large army for a month. Before he could continue speaking, Chen Deng took a step and said, "That's also good. It will take me a few days to raise supplies on my end." "Thank you, Yuan Long." Lu Bu nodded and waved his hand, saying, "If there's nothing else, let's leave first." "Here it is." Chen Deng and Chen Deng exchanged a glance and bowed before leaving. Looking at Chen Deng's back, Lu Bu's eyes flashed fiercely, indicating that he indeed had a problem. In terms of playing with brain melon seeds, Lu Bu may not be as good as Chen Deng's fingers. In terms of marching and fighting, Lu Bu, who has many years of experience, can recite all the details without hesitation. As long as there is enough time to support the front line for 10 days in grain transportation, there will be no problems in following up. His attitude just now was clearly that he wished he could wait a few more days. This situation made Lu Bu both happy and angry, and he was pleased that everything was exactly as Lin Mo had said, without any difference, what angered him was that he felt that he had already treated Chen Deng with respect, but in the end, he still couldn't accept his heart. Find someone. Upon hearing a knock on the door and opening it, a refined man in his early 20s appeared in front of him. Under Lu Su and Lu Zijing, I'm looking for Lin Yunwen. Lu Su's appearance is not related to his handsomeness, but his smile carries a sense of closeness. It turns out to be Brother Zijing, and I am Lin Mo. I have long heard that Brother Zijing is generous and righteous, and has a bold personality. Please come in quickly. Here in Xuzhou, Lu Su was indeed somewhat famous, so he didn't think that Lin Mo was supporting him, so he naturally followed him into the inner hall. After serving tea, Lu Su came straight to the point and said, "Let you be familiar with my father. You and I don't need to see each other. If you need any help, just speak up. Does the Lu family have an iron shop?" "Yes. I want to borrow your mansion's iron shop to make some ironware." Lin Mo didn't conceal it. "Is it that simple?" Lu Su looked at Lin Mo in surprise. There were also many blacksmith shops opened by the people in Pengcheng, and he didn't understand why he had to specifically come to him for such things. "Yes, it's just that simple." After receiving a positive answer, Lu Su nodded and said, "Then Yunwen can come home with me." After drinking 2 sips of tea, the two of them got up and walked out the door. In fact, since his travels, Lin Mo has rarely gone out. Apart from daily food and supplies procurement, he has hardly left home. After passing through the usual shopping streets, the flow of people became increasingly dense, and there were more shops around, even more street vendors than on Pingfu Street. Since the founding of the reign of Emperor Gaozu, Pengcheng has been the capital of the 6 counties in Xuzhou, and has gone through hundreds of years to this day, with a level of prosperity comparable to any other city. Standing in the bustling street market, Lin Mo seemed to have a sense of belonging. However, as the flow of people becomes increasingly dense, more and more refugees appear. They were dressed in rags, leaning against the edge of the alley in groups of 3, with bowls full of notches in front of them. They made begging gestures and pleaded on their faces. Since Cao Cao slaughtered the 3 commanderies, there have been more refugees in Pengcheng. Upon discovering that Lin Mo's gaze was constantly scanning these refugees, he took the initiative to explain, actually, they were lucky enough not to die under the butcher's knife of the Cao army. Lin Mo suddenly stopped and watched an elderly man struggling to hold up his skinny hand, with a 4 or 5-year-old child sobbing and shouting hunger beside him. He sighed and took out a string of 5 baht coins from his arms and put them into their bowl. "Thank you very much, my lord. Thank you very much, my lord." Lin Mo didn't stop, but Lu Su couldn't help but take a second look at him. He didn't expect that Lu Bu, who had countless souls under his command, would find a son-in-law with a great heart of kindness. "There's too much, you can't help so many people. There are some things that I can't turn a blind eye to when I see them." The desire for survival in the child's eyes stabbed him. Of course, Lin Mo could not provide relief to all the refugees. In fact, most of these refugees on the street were old, weak, sick, and physically strong, almost all of whom were taken back by the powerful families to become serfs. The land they annexed needed people to cultivate, and the refugees who escaped from Hukou also needed a chance to survive, so this squeezing survival model emerged. Both sides seemed to be happy to see it come to fruition. "Yunwen, there's something I don't quite understand. If you really just want to make some iron tools, you can find places everywhere on the street. Why did you find me?" Just now, Lu Su became interested in Lin Mo, who was a few years younger than him. Young chivalrous, making friends with the 5 heroes. Lin Mo tugged at the corner of his mouth and smiled, "Is this reason enough?" Young chivalrous, making friends with Wudu Xiong. Lu Su murmured and repeated a few words, then unconsciously laughed along. Scholars and literati value character the most, and being admired and befriended by others is something to be proud of. He had a bad impression of Lu Bu, but due to the other party's occupation of Xuzhou's important identity, he reluctantly came to find Lin Mo with patience. After a brief time together, Lu Su found that Lin Mo was warm-hearted and had great literary talent, which was completely different from Lu Bu, who only knew how to stab his adoptive father with a Fangtian painted halberd. Perhaps it's because of this, so Lu Bu wants me to keep his identity hidden. Soon, the two of them arrived at the Lu family. Before coming, Lin Mo had imagined that the Lu family's mansion should be very large, but the scale inside still left him amazed. The Lu family had more than 3,000 serfs and raised 800 soldiers. The mansion not only had a mountain full of granaries, but also a weapons depot and an iron smelting house. What impressed Lin Mo the most was that there were still over 30 war horses. Damn it, every family is a big dog family. No wonder during the Yellow Turban Rebellion, the government was burned down, but it was rare to hear of any damage to the powerful families. Yunwen, just tell him the iron tool you want to make. Arriving at the smelting iron room, Lu Su pointed to a rough man with a bare upper body and said. After Lin Mo took out the design drawings of the horseshoe, the man twisted his head and looked up and down, unable to figure out what it was. You don't need to know what this is, just follow it. With the approval of Lu Su, the man didn't say much and began to conceive how to proceed after receiving the blueprint. Lin Mo did not immediately leave and followed Lu Su to the garden in the backyard to drink tea. Yunwen, what exactly is the thing you want to create? I have never seen it before. Lu Su asked with great interest as he pushed the boiled tea to Lin Mo. I just saw that there are dozens of war horses in your stable. Do you know how long these war horses can usually be ridden, Brother Xijing? Lu Su was a bit surprised. Didn't I ask you, why did you still take the exam for me? The end of chapter 5 and the beginning of chapter 6 have been modified, so those who are following up can go back and take a look, so as not to miss out on the subsequent plot. Chapter 8. Lu Su's excessive brain supplementation. You are listening at novelfull.audio. In terms of ordinary warhorses, if they fight continuously for a month, the wear and tear of their hooves will reach their limit and they must rest. The archery in the 6 arts of the gentleman is not simply archery. Families with conditions usually include horsemanship and swordsmanship, which requires them to have a certain understanding of warhorses. Moreover, Lu Su's family kept dozens of war horses. I just had the blacksmith make it, called horseshoe iron. The finished product is nailed to the horseshoe, which can greatly reduce the wear and tear of the horseshoe, and there is no need to rest the horseshoe for at least 6 months. The most crucial thing is that even on a road covered in rubble, horses with horseshoes nailed to them can walk on the ground as if they were walking flat. Lin Mo's statement made Lu Su's pupils dilate, and he suddenly stood up and said, Are you serious? Don't you have a warhorse at home? If you just build one, it shouldn't take much time. For this product that transcends the times, it is more effective for Lu Su to speak 100 words before his eyes. Lu Su felt that the tea in his hand was no longer fragrant, so he left the iron smelting room and ran back. Several blacksmiths worked together to finally create 4 horseshoes in an hour. After leading a warhorse and nailing it to the ground, Lu Su eagerly rode on it. He first ran around the inner circle of the courtyard, and he could clearly feel that his horse's hooves were indeed much calmer when they landed. In order to further test, he simply rode his warhorse to gallop outside the city. Whether it was acceleration or sudden stop, or even difficult movements that he had never dared to try before, the warhorse under his seat completed them with ease. Lu Su couldn't help but marvel. I couldn't believe that nailing horseshoes to warhorses would have this effect. In order to understand the advantages of horseshoes, he even drove the warhorse to the cobblestone paved road. When he first learned how to ride a horse, he tried it before. Even if the warhorse was allowed to walk on it, it was easy for the horse to stumble. However, this continued to accelerate, and the warhorse could still walk smoothly. Finally, he believed that what Lin Mo said was true. Yunwen. Yunwen. This horseshoe iron is a divine weapon. After returning to the mansion, Lu Su started shouting from a distance, "This thing has been released, and I don't know how many noble families would go crazy about it." The Central Plains region does not produce war horses, and in recent years, with the increasing competition among feudal lords, the demand for war horses has also reached an unprecedented level. It can be anticipated that once Horseshoe iron enters the market, it will become a popular presence. How valuable does Xuzhou think this item is? Lin Mo asked with a smile. Priceless treasure. Lu Su was full of confidence. I want to use the name of the Lu family to sell this item in Xuzhou and make a profit. You and I can share it equally, how about that? Seriously. This was simply giving money to himself to spend, and Lu Su couldn't believe his ears. After receiving a positive response, the two immediately began discussing pricing, sales, and channel issues. Lu Su, who regarded horseshoes as a divine artifact, meticulously calculated and even dismissed Lin Mo's eagerness to exchange them for cash. So for the next few days, Lu Su ran to the Lin family early in the morning and didn't leave until it was almost curfew. After 5 full days, the matter was finally finalized, priced at 1 gold and 1 pair. In the Han Dynasty, 1 piece of gold was equivalent to 15,000 baht, which is 10 guan. In terms of the amount of iron lost, it was already a sky-high price. In terms of channels, they are controlled by the Lu family, which is impossible. After all, there is no patent in this era. If you want to use the Lu family's influence for sales, the channels can only belong to them. Selling horseshoes to Lu Bu. Lin Mo is not very concerned about channels, and his original intention was to exchange some money as quickly as possible to cultivate a group of guards. To obtain the fastest and largest amount of money, of course, it is Lu Bu who sells the most warhorses. Upon hearing this statement, Horseshoe was completely stunned. In the past few days, I have been too excited about the horseshoe issue, and I have forgotten that Yuan is the son-in-law of Marquis Yuan. This proposal made Lu Su, who was extremely excited, suddenly calm down, and an inexplicable idea came to his mind. Could it be that Marquis Yuan repeatedly failed to win over the Lu family and deliberately arranged for Yuan to approach me? After getting along with him, it can be certain that Yuan is not something in the pool. Whether it is literary talent, military strategy, or even the current situation, he has a unique vision. Coupled with his unique skills and lewdness, this person will eventually become famous in the world. Attract our Lu family with Yuan's potential and future. Lu Su felt that this possibility was very high, and as for Lu Bu's claim that Lin Mo did not know his identity, it could also be a pretext. Okay, according to my wise brother's words. Taking a deep breath, Lu Su tidied up his divergent thoughts. Anyway, Yuan was still a friend worth making. As for whether the Lu family should seek refuge with Lu Bu, we can take a look at Yuan's aspirations. Now that everything has been agreed upon, Xuzhou can give me 10 pieces of hardware first. Why? Don't you have 30 war horses in your family? Divide them into 50 and 50, and I'll take care of them. It makes sense, my dear brothers still need to keep track of their accounts. Lu Su nodded and said, send someone over tomorrow. By the way, Xuzhou, I would like to hire some guards, preferably those who know some martial arts. Do you have a suitable candidate? With the money, Lin Mo planned to start his plan immediately. It's not difficult. There is a shop in the east of the city, and the shopkeeper is specifically responsible for providing courtyard guards for people. Lu Su took a sip of tea and continued, since Cao Cao slaughtered the city, many refugees have flooded into the 3 counties. Those who can do farm work have become serfs for the powerful, while those who know some martial arts have gone to the east of the city to make a living. After the Yellow Turban Rebellion, the war of separatism became increasingly fierce, and local powerful families also placed more emphasis on private armed forces. They often incorporated people who knew some martial arts into the government army. If you don't want to be a government soldier and want to be free at any time, then go and become a guard. No matter what era it is, some people like to organize, while others like to do odd jobs. The most famous one belongs to Guan Yu, who once worked as a guardian for people. After receiving the money tomorrow, please ask Brother Zijing to take me on a trip. It's okay, it's a small matter, Lu Su waved his hand. Xiaopei City, Yu reading www.uukangshu.net. Gao Shun, who served as the vanguard, and Vice General Zhang Liao established a large fortress outside the city, with the Chinese military's Lu banner fluttering. After Lu Bu led 20,000 infantry to arrive, he settled down in an orderly manner according to each battalion, department, and unit. Marquis 1, when the soldiers were just settled down, we didn't see Chu Nan. Where did he go? Zhang Liao, who walked in from outside the tent, asked curiously. Wei Yu was not listed among the 8 elite generals of Lu Bu, but he was truly fierce. In such a tough battle, if he dared to take the lead, he would naturally make Zhang Liao pay more attention. I assigned him some tasks, don't worry. Lu Bu waved his hand and avoided the topic. The army has come from a long distance, rested for a day, and in the morning the day after tomorrow, the troops are approaching Xiaopei. Seeing that Chen Deng had nothing to add, Lu Bu waved his hand and gestured for everyone to return to camp and arrange their own arrangements. 2 days later, at the foot of Xiaopei City, Lu Bu, a member of the Sword Eyebrow Star Order, wore a purple gold crown with 3-pronged hair, a Sichuan red cotton robe with 100 flowers, a beast face swallowing head chain armor, a linglong lion mane belt tied around his waist, and a square sky-drawn halberd in his hand. With a rustling red rabbit horse in his crotch, he became the most dazzling presence in the crowd. Big Ear Thief, Marquis Wen shot a halberd at the Yuan Gate to save you from trouble, but you secretly conspired with the Chao thief to seize the Marquis Wen County. The evidence of your crime is here, and you haven't left the city to die yet. Gao Shun rode his warhorse, with a long spear in his right hand and a so-called called secret letter of collusion, galloping back and forth in Xiaopei City. This is not to bow down to the enemy first, but to show off as a teacher. Starting from the Warring States period, when a large army goes on an expedition, it emphasizes righteousness and standing on the side of justice. This not only boosts the morale of one's own side, but also puts the opposing soldiers in a certain degree of panic. After several shouts from Gao Shun, more than 10,000 people behind Lu Bu began to shout in unison. Victory! 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 Chapter 9. Lu Bu, can become a chess player. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Among the famous figures of the Three Kingdoms, the Lu Guanzhang brothers have the most distinctive and recognizable appearance. On the horse path of Xiaopei City Pass, Liu Bei was surrounded by a crowd in the middle. His ears drooped over his shoulders and his hands crossed his knees, earning him the name of the Great-Eared Thief due to his unusual appearance. A few days ago, I intercepted a secret letter written by Lu Bu to Yuan Shu, but now he has a secret letter I wrote to Cao Cao on hand. Liu Bei furrowed his brows and said in a low voice, it seems that this is either Cao Cao's scheme or Yuan Shu's conspiracy. Lu Bu has been tricked. Big brother, if we engage in a fierce battle to defend the city, the cavalry will not be able to play a role. It's best to take advantage of the fact that the army of Lu Bu has not yet formed an encirclement, and I will lead my cavalry out from the south gate, waiting for an opportunity to attack Lu Bu's flank. Guan Yu, who was 2 feet long and had a face like red dates, half squinted his phoenix eyes and looked down at Lu Bu's proposal below the city gate. No way. Liu Bei immediately rejected Guan Yu's suggestion. Our war horses are less than 1,000, and our newly trained cavalry, in terms of quantity and combat effectiveness, is far inferior to Lu Bu's army. Thief Lu Bu, first we launched a surprise attack on Xuzhou. Now that I see my brother's foothold becoming more and more secure, I also want to launch a surprise attack on Xiaopei. Sooner or later, I will stab him. Zhang Fei, who had a leopard's head and a tiger's beard, spoke with a thunderous voice, and even in such a noisy environment, he could hear it clearly. Let the soldiers stand by at the city gate, with their bows and crossbows restrained, in an attempt to strike later. Liu Bei, who couldn't come up with any strategies, believed that as long as he took advantage of the danger of the city, Lu Bu should not dare to act rashly. Here. In this way, the people at the city gate arranged bundles of arrows, transported wooden rolling stones to convenient throwing positions, and nervously watched the other party, afraid that they would suddenly make a mistake. The Lu Bu legion under the city gate also did not want to attack the city. After all, the casualty rate of the attack was too high, so they had to curse their fathers and mothers, curse their ancestors, and curse until Liu Bei couldn't help but leave the city. Wen Ho, it's been 2 days now. No matter how much we curse, the big ear thief won't come out. Ho Qing angrily cursed. Xiaopei city is 3 zhang high, not solid enough, and there are several signs of damage on the windward side of the north gate. It's like the last general leading his men to form the first to ascend the Death Warriors and launch a strong attack on the city. Gao Shun bowed and requested permission. Or you can give it a try. Zhang Liao also agreed. Marquis Wen, Liu Bei can recruit nearly 10,000 people in a short period of time, but he cannot cultivate a strong army in such a short time. Their combat power is not strong, and their chances of winning a strong attack are also extremely high. The morale of the generals in the central army tent is high one by one, and it is obvious that they have a tacit understanding that a strong attack is also very appropriate. In the past, at this time, Lu Bu, who believed in giving up 10 meetings with one effort, would not hesitate to order a strong attack, but today he is firmly seated in the handsome chair, with Mount Taishan's face showing the same calm. I have a plan that may lure Liu Bei out of the city. Chen Gong, who had been silent all along, finally spoke up. Amidst the eager gazes of everyone, Lu Bu also nodded to signal him to express his thoughts. Tonight, he shot a secret message into Xiaopei city and falsely claimed that the army had arrived under the name of Cao Cao. He invited Liu Bei to ambush Marquis Wen. Chen Gong held his head high and twisted his goatee calmly. Tomorrow before the battle, all we need to do is create chaos in the rear and then withdraw the troops. Liu Bei will surely believe it and can immediately destroy it outside the city. Wow! Mr. Gongtai's clever plan. This plan is very clever. The great ear thief will definitely not be able to penetrate. Sir, I am a great talent, and I will finally admire you. Lu Bu was also tempted, and a light flashed in his eyes. First, take care of Liu Bei, and then deal with the Cao army. It should also be possible. Just as I was about to make a decision, I remembered Lin Mo's words again. The purpose of Cao Cao's letter was to break the power struggle between the LV and Lu families. If we clean up both sides together, the risk is extremely high. If Cao Cao really sends a large army to lead us back, he will probably not be able to defend Xuzhou. Marquis Wen, I have something to say, please consider. Lu Bu has not yet made a decision, and Chen Deng, who is feeling uneasy inside the account, is unwilling to wait. Yuan Long, if you have anything to say, feel free to speak up. Mr. Gongtai's clever plan will surely defeat Lu, but I suggest it should be done in 2 days. Why? Chen Gong looked at him with a sharp gaze. Marquis Wen, according to normal circumstances, it will take 1 day for the news of your deployment to reach Xuchang, 1 day for Cao Cao to reorganize his troops and prepare for food and supplies, and 7 days for him to arrive at Xiaopei as soon as possible. Chen Deng strolled leisurely in the tent and said firmly, from the day you sent troops, it will take at least 9 days for the Cao army to arrive at Xiaopei. Today is only the 3rd day, how can Liu Bei not observe? The generals nodded with a sudden realization, but Chen Gong squinted his eyes and snorted coldly. But before the expedition, Marquis Wen had already delayed for 5 days waiting for food and supplies. Shouldn't this time be included? Mr. Gongtai was too worried. At that time, Cao Cao didn't know that Marquis Wen was going to send troops. I'm afraid not. There are many young people in the city, and it's not surprising that they are in Xuzhou and in Chaoying. Chen Gong glanced at Chen Deng and said with a strange tone. Mr. Gong Tai is afraid that he is using the heart of a petty person to judge a gentleman's belly. The people present at that time were all Wen Ho's confidants. How could he leak any information? The two of them have been fighting each other for quite some time now, and the generals have chosen to ignore them without hesitation. Lu Bu, who used to be constantly troubled by this, feels calm today. People often remain calm when they know what they are doing. Wen Ho. Wen Ho. The two of them, who had argued enough, bowed to Lu Bu at the same time and asked him to make a decision. Then. Do as Yuan Long said, wait for another 2 days. After Lu Bu finished speaking, Chen Gong couldn't help but walk up to the handsome table and concentrate on looking at Lu Bu. Read www.uukangshu.net Marquis Wen first delayed the deployment of troops, then let Wei Yu leave the army and don't know where to go. Now he still has to be indecisive. I'm worried that a big disaster is imminent. Lu Bu didn't get angry because he was questioned. He stood up and walked slowly towards the outside of the tent, looking into the distance, and casually said. Just now, Yuan Long said that the timing was not right. Liu Bei won't be able to run for another 2 days, let alone. He turned around and looked at Chen Deng playfully, with a smile on his face. I'm still waiting for someone, he said. Who? Chen Gong remained unwilling. Don't worry, you should be back in the next few days. Please be patient, everyone. Lu Bu clapped his hands and said, if there's nothing, let's all step down. Chen Gong fiercely gouged out Chen Deng and left with Zhang Liao and the others. As the sun sets, the remaining light reflects a layer of orange on Lu Bu's resolute face. He embraces his chest with both hands and enjoys the cool evening breeze. It's been so many years and it's my first time becoming a chess player. This feeling is really good. On the evening of the military discussion, the Chen family sent a fast horse and had it tracked for a while, discovering that it was heading towards Xuchang. From then on, Lu Bu knew that his son-in-law was not wrong and that the Chen family was connected to Cao. Of course, the next direction would also be as Lin Mo had anticipated. All he had to do was wait for the arrival of the Cao army and wait for the rest. He slightly raised the corner of his mouth. When Chen Deng and Chen Gong were arguing just now, did they still think I was a chess piece? They won't know that the Chen family is my chess piece. In this battle, Liu Bei and Cao Cao were both chess pieces. What kind of expression would Chen Gong have on his face after defeating Cao? Chen Gong was so surprised that he couldn't close his mouth. Chen Deng was so scared that he didn't show any signs. Hee, it's still very interesting to think about. Chapter 10. Su Sheng, you are listening at novelfull.audio. I remember your maids were all wearing silk and gauze clothes. Who is this? When paying the money as agreed, Lin Mo saw a timid little girl standing behind Lu Su, about 13 or 14 years old, dressed in coarse linen clothes. I hired you on the way here, but at least it's a courtyard for the second time. Without a servant, it's not easy. After handing over the money to Lin Mo, Lu Su explained to the girl behind him, it's quite cheap, with a monthly salary of 300 yuan. I have seen the young master, servant Zhao Er. The coarse linen clothes on the girl's body did not fit well, and her hair was a bit messy. She was probably a refugee from the 3 commanderies. The appearance is quite good, with a fair melon seed face, a tall and straight nose bridge, and a rosy little mouth. Dress up well and it looks quite pleasing to the eye. Can you cook? Zhao Er quickly nodded. Lin Mo first glanced at her and then looked around the yard, realizing that he needed a maid. Then he took out 3 guan coins from his arms and gave them to her. Go buy some decent clothes and bring back some meat to prepare. By the way, on the way back, pass by the cuisine studio and buy some osmanthus cake and almond pastry. Zhao Er looked timidly at Lin Mo, afraid to reach out. This is not a monthly salary, it's just a support for the family. Upon hearing what he said, Zhao Er nodded gluttonously and said, "Thank you very much, young master. Let's go to the East City." After pulling Lu Su, the two of them walked out towards the East City. On both sides of the streets in Dongqing, there are many burly men standing, some of whom are wearing bare tops as if deliberately highlighting their strength. The distribution of shops in Pengcheng has been planned, with some jewelry, rouge, powder, and daily necessities in the south. Beicheng is a variety of vegetable and fruit, rice and millet shops. There are many wine shops and romantic places in the western city, and Dongqing is a place where some strong men gather. If the Chamber of Commerce hires bodyguards, or if wealthy families hire guards or even government soldiers, they will come here. After entering a shop, the shopkeeper warmly offered 2 cups of tea and said, "Mr. Lu is here. Let's have some tea first, and the roster will be delivered later." The reputation of the Lu family is not as strong as that of the Chen family, but when people with merchant status see them, they still have to embrace their thighs and call out for their father. After drinking 2 sips of tea, the shopkeeper picked up a stack of bamboo slips and said, "Young Master Lu, take your time to look and choose to speak. Let's take a look together." Lu Su picked up a bundle of bamboo slips and gave them to Lin Mo. The above is a list of personal information, including name, registered residence, age, weight, height, weapon proficiency, whether they are willing to be government soldiers, and their monthly salary. In times of chaos, everything can be clearly priced. After all, Lin Mo is still very serious when looking for a guardian, and Lu Su occasionally points to the information on the bamboo slips and comments. After a while, the appearance of a name left Lin Mo stunned. Su Sheng, born in Jiuxian County, Langyi, at the age of 19, was skilled in wielding iron rope and chain knives, earning a monthly salary of 2 guan. Those who invade the territory of De Wu will surely be defeated in their prime. It's really fake. This is a fierce person with not many famous appearances, but this guy has almost always been fighting battles with fewer victories for the rest of his life, fighting against Huang Zu, Gang Chao's army, and Chong Shu's army. He is one of the 12 tiger ministers of Jiangbiao. But isn't Su Sheng a fierce general from Jiangdong? How could he be from Langya? And he went to Pengcheng to work as a bodyguard. I don't know if it's just the same name. What's wrong, Yunwen? Lu Su put down the bamboo slip and looked at Lin Mo. No need to choose, it's just him. Glancing at the name pointed by Lin Mo, Lu Su asked the shopkeeper to go and pick up the person. In an instant, a man who was 8 feet long and had dark but extremely strong skin walked in. He looked like a wall, with no expression on his face, but coldly asked, "Which young master is asking for the protection of the courtyard?" "He, the young master of the Lin family." Lu Su took the initiative to appoint a young master of the Lin family, which sounded quite domineering. With this figure, the intimidating power it brings to that stop is enough to be a bodyguard in the house. After making a simple request and paying the intermediary fee, Lin Mo took Su Sheng back. How did the people of Langya come to Pengcheng to serve as guardians? Something unexpected happened. You have a physique that many people are willing to have, whether in the military or as a government soldier. Why do you think of being a guard? Save money and go to Wujuan to seek refuge with my uncle. How long are you planning to do it? I don't know. The conversation between the two was very dry, and Su Sheng was a dull person who didn't like to talk. When she returned to the mansion, Zhao Er had already changed into a new silk dress and deliberately combed and washed it, looking bright and charming, making Lin Mo feel a bit dazed. The young master has returned, the pastry is on the table, and the meal will be ready soon. Having a maid was convenient. After Lin Mo entered, she grabbed a piece of osmanthus cake and stuffed it into her mouth. Then she picked up another piece and waved it toward Su Sheng, who shook his head in a wooden manner. When he came out again, Lin Mo stuffed a piece of osmanthus cake directly into Su Sheng's hand and said, "Don't be shy, just treat yourself as your own home." You should sit down and eat. Sheng couldn't help but glance more at the young employer, feeling somewhat surprised. The meal is ready, young master. Zhao magically brought 3 or 4 dishes from the kitchen, filled a bowl of rice, and then obediently stood aside. Why only 1 bowl? Lin Mo asked in confusion. Young master, didn't you say you were the only one in the family? Zhao blinked her watery eyes. Are you not eating? Then he pouted at Sheng again, and he. How can a maid sit at the same table as the head of the household? Zhao licked her tongue as if she had heard the Arabian Nights. Protecting the courtyard is also not acceptable, Sheng added. Lin Mo hung his head down. In this era, he liked to use the so-called etiquette to define superiority and inferiority, and properly classified people into 3, 6, and 9 classes. But Lin Mo had not fully accepted this set yet. He went to the kitchen and brought 2 bowls on his own, placed them on the table, and then sat down with Sheng. Do Zhao also want me to do it? Lin Mo asked. Young master. After facing Lin Mo's questioning gaze, she timidly sat down. Lin Mo indulged in a feast, while Sheng ate like a person with a sullen head, like a chicken pecking at rice, afraid to look up. The coexistence of master and servant at the dinner table is naturally absurd in this era, but it can also dispel a bit of the desolation of the Lin family courtyard. Eating, just like life, requires companionship. In the future, we will eat together. Let's get used to it slowly. After putting down the dishes, Lin Mo habitually came to the lazy chair under the osmanthus tree to daydream. Occasionally, I wonder how my father-in-law can approach Cao Cao more quickly and offer advice when he returns to Wen County. Or imagine what Miss Zhang, who has not yet passed through the door, looks like. I don't know if there's a photo that looks so good. Zhao figure is not particularly tall, and she only reads books for A and UU, but her face is really beautiful, pure and cute. Perhaps it's still young and hasn't grown yet. Outside Xiaopei City, there is a large military tent in the Lu Bu military camp. A group of civil and military officials were divided into left and right, while Lu Bu, who was in charge, looked at the terrain around Xiaopei on the sand table without saying a word. The atmosphere inside the tent was very dull, and everyone remained silent. The generals were trying to beat Liu Bei, feeling very annoyed. Chen Deng was annoyed that Lu Bu was becoming more and more inclined towards Chen Deng, and considered whether to plan for the future. Probably, only Chen Deng's heart was more excited. According to the distance calculation, Cao Jun should arrive within these 1 or 2 days. He originally just wanted to persuade Lu Bu to attack Xiaopei. After driving Liu Bei away, Xuzhou became isolated and helpless. When Cao Cao's army came to the border, the Chen family was willing to sacrifice their city and make contributions. But now it's different. If there is a big battle between LV and Liu, and the Cao army takes advantage of the fishermen and takes over Xuzhou, then Chen Deng will be the first hero. The status of the Chen family in Xuzhou will be further elevated, and the governor of the state cannot do so. The court has explicitly prohibited local people from holding these positions. But the position of governor is possible, as long as you are not in Pengcheng. If one becomes the governor, the members of the Chen family will enter various key positions. Just as Chen Deng was looking forward to the future, a burly man in armor ran in. Wen Ho. Chu Nan, you have finally returned. Lu Buchang breathed a sigh of relief, his eyes filled with hope, and he looked at Wei Yu and asked, how is the situation? Just as Wen Ho expected, we have found them. Okay. Lu Bu punched the handsome table excitedly, his eyes intertwined with killing intent, excitement, and excitement. I've waited for them.